what we're thinking about classroom behavior, and opening it up. I always advise that. So it's interesting you mentioned, um, you're getting that already as a student in a practicum sense, and how that can be beneficial. But I also think it translates to how it's done in the class as well.
Yeah.
Which classes have been most useful for you in college?
In college, the class that I took the 30-hour practicum in, SEC 302.
Yeah.
That was helpful. I think my diversity class that I took was helpful.
Yeah.
Because I didn't come from a very diverse area, and so actually putting yourself in that perspective and opening up to those kinds of things was good.
What kind of diversity was discussed?
We talked a lot about we had someone from an Indian reservation come in and talk about their cultures and the misconceptions and just how often people are just misunderstood in various ways, and our biases. We talked a lot about biases and just how those things can affect our students when we're putting our biases on them, and how it affects our teaching.
Gender, socioeconomic, ability level.
Yeah, just a number of things. And what was cool is we didn't just read from a textbook. We actually took, we read actual books and discussed them and so that was.
Like what? You remember reading the material?
Yeah, Inside Out and Back Again, I think is what it was called. And we read a ton of them. There was 35 dumb things well-intended people say.
Well-intended people?
Yes. Sweetgrass Basket. The book about Arkansas, the school for segregation, The Rock, or The Fire from the Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had several books. A lot of them we could choose between one or the other, and so we got to experience quite a bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
So towards the end, so is there anything I didn't ask about that could help our research team understand? Have I told you what the research question is, or have you talked to Ms. Bonebrake or anything about?
Yeah, but
okay. It's about what experiences do pre-service science educators feel are going to be beneficial to them.
Right.
Okay. So is there anything else that I haven't asked about that you feel are experiences that we're not even thinking of, or that or anything about your practical experience that you've been maybe telling your friends or parents or whatever?
Obviously being here at Greenwood, the technology and the structure is different than a public school, and so that's a big thing. But I don't know that every student gets to experience that. I'm pretty sure, some of the schools here in Springfield have quite a bit, but not to the extent
they're just going.
that Greenwood has.
I think just right now they're going 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Right. Ozarks had it for maybe 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Other schools are popping up. Is Rogersville 1-to-1 school yet?
I think they're at least talking about it.
Yeah.
I think that's at least being discussed. So.
How far away is Fordland?
That I don't know.
Do you ever go back?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I haven't been back. So.
To the school, or does your family still live there, or?
My sister is a senior at
okay.
Fordland, and so I've been back once or twice for ball games, that kind of things. But I still keep in contact with some of my teachers, and so I've been able to draw from them as well.
I know a couple people from Fordland, the superintendent, and
who's the superintendent now?
It's Ford. Yeah.
I didn't ever meet him.
And I knew the guy who was I was a student council representative for a long time.
Shear.
Yeah. Yeah, he's dizzy.
He's an interesting guy.
And I was in your position probably 15 years ago with another guy who ended up teaching at Fordland, Josh Smith, but I don't know.
Oh, brother.
Really? What's
Yeah.
up with that? I haven't
I
seen
played
this guy in years.
softball for him.
Ah,
And he's kind of a
he's not in Portland anymore, right?
interesting guy. I don't remember.
I think it's in Paul.
I think he left,
Yeah.
but I don't remember. He might have left. Yeah. No, we just didn't. We kind of clashed. Our personalities clashed a little bit, especially with softball.
Got it.
So
That's funny. Portland Hoskins. Do I know his guy named Hoskins?
Hoskins.
Andy Hoskins. Andrew.
yeah, taught history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Years
him.
ago. Okay. See it right there.
Yep.
Huh.
Ozark, the only. I don't know any of the teachers from Ozark, but Greg Porter used to be the resource officer there.
Yeah, Officer Porter. Yeah.
Yep.
Where's how?
He's at Fairgrove now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Fairgrove.
His wife was she taught at Fort Lynn
Yeah.
at the elementary,
Oh,
and then
okay.
she was a basketball coach, and
Yeah,
so
I remember him. Yeah.
kind of part of their family now. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
He's in Fairgrove.
Mhm.
One of my best friends is teaching in Fairgrove as well. This is the teaching network.
Yeah.
You plan on sticking around Southwest Missouri?
I plan on it. I mean, like I said, if I have an opportunity, I'm gonna take it because, I mean, it's experience if
Yeah.
nothing else. And
How do you feel like your prospects are right now? Are they telling science people like you're gonna have a job no matter what?
I don't really hear too much about that, and I don't. I'm a Christian, so
Mm-hmm.
my thing is God willing, I'll be placed where I need to be placed, and if not, then He'll have another plan for me, and that's where I'll end up. So I don't really pay attention too much to whether or not.
Have there been any conflicts? If you're mentioning that aspect of your philosophy, has there been anything in relation to that aspect, either positively or negatively, that you've noticed in your practicum?
Yeah, my practicum teacher at Marshfield is also a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
and so one of the biggest things was because I became a Christian a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and so my beliefs in science and my beliefs in God kind of took a clash last year.
Yeah.
Whenever I taught the lab over there, it was during evolution section.
Mm-hmm.
I taught on natural selection and stuff like that, and I was able to ask her, what she does, because clearly science and those things clash a little bit in some areas, and she just made a point to say that she leaves it open for students to believe what they want, and she doesn't force either which way on them, and just leaves it very open for them to, this is what science says about this. This is what the other says, and you need to figure out which one you truly believe. And so.
And nothing like that at Greenwood?
I haven't talked to Miss Bonebreak about any of that kind of stuff. Like I said, I was 30 hours over there, so I had a lot more time with her, and
Sure.
obviously got to spend a little more time with her on a personal level. So, yeah, that was one of my biggest things, was how am I going to teach without without doing that. I encountered a book, just a theory, here in one of my education classes, and it's very anti-Christian, and he pretty much says that right from the beginning, and it was a Christian professor that was using it, and so that to me just kind of stuck out and so like I don't want to do that in my classroom. I don't want to use something that's very anti-Christian, but I don't want to use something that's very anti-science.
So how did they justify that?
I sat down with this professor, and I just said she didn't even give us like a heads up, like this is very anti-Christian, but that's not what I want you to take out of it. And after getting to talk to her, that's not the part she was gleaning from it. She wanted us to glean the definitions, some of the science terms. A lot of it was based around inquiry and, what is science, what isn't science, how do you define those things. And it was a good book in that aspect once I got past the the beginning, but definitely something that, you know, maybe needed to be
Interesting.
Presented at the very beginning to kind of, because it definitely closed off some communication between me and her, and that was something that I noted. You know, that could happen in my own classroom where I use something or say something and it just completely gets taken in
So
a
then
different way.
how important do you think objectivity is? Like, will you let your beliefs be known at the beginning of the year or as it comes out? Or do you believe once a kid asks you about something personal like that, because it seems like, I've not been in a science classroom, but it invites the most. It seems to invite the most controversy.
Controversy, yeah.
So is it more helpful because as soon as you say that, aren't you turning out some other kids, or by not saying anything at all, you're turning out some kids? So it's like, you know.
Right. If a student wants to know personally what I believe,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that's something that I should have to suppress.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think there's a time and a place for it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in the middle of your classroom is not the time for that. You know, hey, if you want to know more about that, I'd be happy to talk with you sometime after class or before school or something like that in a more personal environment. I know that would definitely help, like with what you said of not turning off some and
Mm-hmm.
doing that. And the other aspect is, you know, when those topics are brought up in the middle of class and stuff, you know, just I don't want there to be controversy. I don't want this half of the room to be like, well, that's wrong. And I don't want this half of the room to be like, you're wrong, and just cause these, you know, intermingling. Because really, it's a personal decision, and it's, you know, it's a very individual-based decision on what you should believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But my English teacher from high school, I've talked to her a couple times since then, and she never once told me that she was a Christian, but you could tell by the way she just interacted with her students, the way she you know, cared about her students, the way she handled problems,
Mm-hmm.
just those types of things in her classroom. You could just tell that something was different. You could tell she was a Christian in those aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, if I display those things, then there should never really be are you a Christian conversation.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure, I understand that.
Because those are things that we know about, and we know those things as we see them. So.
Yeah, and it's going back to the earlier part of the conversation where you mentioned you had a class that was eye-opening about biases. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's, you know, even there's visible differences and you know, differences between people. I guess racially is a very easy one.
Yeah.
But also, if you're talking about, you know, diversity, religious thought diversity, you know, it's an interesting one to find out who's a believer, who's not a believer in what, not believer in what, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I just I mean, I have a specific verse that is, you know, my purpose for, and that teacher from Fordland, you know, she says that her classroom is her mission field, and it's so true, and that, you know, for Christians, like, even just praying for our students and things like that's huge. So.
Which verse, if you don't mind me asking?
It is, teach a child a way he should go, and even when he grows up, he won't depart from it.
Great.
You know, and that's in anything. You know, there's several teachers from my high school experiences that, you know, have taught me things that I still use now, and that I didn't understand how to use then, but definitely understand now. So.
Sinatra said, "A youth is wasted on the young." You know.
Yeah. So.
Cool. I guess that's about it. Anything else?
Yeah. I think that's it.
Hey, thank you so much. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, this is going to help us out a lot. And if you're going to be able to be a part of our focus group, I'll have something for you to thank you. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most certainly probably will. I think she was talking about maybe doing it during our class time,
Yeah,
where
so everyone
everybody's
has to take
available.
more.
So.
cool.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
best of luck
appreciate
with
it.
everything.
Thank you.